Hello everyone. So today we are going to understand another CSS property which is not selector, and we are going to see a few examples of how to use the not selector and some use cases where we can use them. So let's start off with the session for today. Now here we have a code pen with some HTML. We have a div tag with three p tags which showcase this text, which is first item, second item, and third item. And I have applied some few basic CSS properties to body tag, which is text align center and some font size. Now let's say if I want to make the text of all these p tags red, then for that the obvious choice is to go for a color tag and assign the red color property, right? And that way all the three items are colored. Now let's say this is some HTML which is used by a library and we don't have access to the inner elements, and I just want this first item to get a color red and not the second and third item. In that case, what should I do? So for that, what we can do is we can use p first child property, and using first child property, the color red will get applied only to the first item in the p tag hierarchy. So what this essentially means is we are just using the CSS property to be applied to the first child of the p tag hierarchy. I am saying hierarchy because if there are three p tags, then in the first child will only select the first node in that p tag structure. And if I want to apply this to the last child of the p tag hierarchy, then I will use last child property and it will get applied to the last child. Now let's say there is a use case where I want to apply this property to the first and the second item, but not the the second and the third item and not to the first item. How do I do that? So for that, what I can do is I can use the selector, which is not selector. So we go for a CSS property which is called as not selector in CSS, and within that, if I assign a property to, let's say, first child, in that case the second and third item will get applied the color red and not the first item, because we said that don't apply the red color property to the first child, and that is how we use not selector in CSS. So if we search for not selector online on, let's say, W3 schools, then we have this documentation here which says that it will be used to apply the properties to all the child elements except the properties or the tags which we select in this not tag. So similarly, if I don't want this red color to be applied to the last child but only to these first items, then what I can do is I can go for last child here. And in that case, only the first two items will get the red color and not the last item. And if I want this to happen to the first and third item and not to the second item, in that case, I will go for end child property. And in the end child, I will select the index as 2. So in that case, the first and third items will get applied the red color and not the second item. Now, where do we use this not select? Let's say we are rendering this kind of HTML using an external library and we don't have access to the classes, or we are not able to add a class like this to a particular paragraph tag. In that case, what we can do is we can select the p tag as a child of, let's say, this is a class called as container element, and I want to do some properties, or I want to manipulate the p tags within that container. In that case, I can select the dot container property here, and I can select the child p tags using the arrow tag. And in that case, the properties will get applied to the child elements. For example, if I don't have all these properties and if I just select the p tag, in that case, all the elements will have the applied color red because of this arrow tag. Arrow tag essentially means that we are selecting all the child elements or all the child p tags of this container element, and when we combine that with our not selector, we can customize the properties even further. Now this is one of the use case of using not selector. Now there are tons of other use cases that you can apply. For example, let's say we are rendering this HTML and we have the class of, let's say, second. In that case, I don't have to write all this complicated code. What I can do is I can just pass the class, which is, let's say, dot second, and my work is done. Similar to the end child, the complicated code is then replaced by just this class element. But most of the times we don't have the opportunity to write such classes when we are using built-in elements, and we usually go for this kind of CSS additional properties only when we don't have the access to the child property. In that case, we go for end child and select the child. For example, first would remove the first item, 2 for the second item, and 3 for the third item. And that is basically how not selector can be used in CSS. I hope this short video was useful to all. If you like this video, hit the like button below this video and subscribe to my channel for more such videos. And obviously it motivates me if I have enough subscribers to share my content with. So with that note, let's end this video. Goodbye.